serves to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.
Hello and welcome to The Reporter, a news and current affairs program that goes beyond headlines, bringing reporters from the field to give first-hand accounts and in-depth analysis of unfolding issues, correspondent perspective, ensuring balanced, credible and comprehensive storytelling. I am Kike Lomo Okere. On this edition of the program, the Democratic Leadership Alliance DLA has called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to reconsider running for the office in the 2027 election, saying the president must prove that he can handle Nigeria better before considering seeking another term. The national chairman of the party, Samuel Meme, made the call while addressing members of the party in Abuja. Ubong Usoro has the details. And joining us now is our political correspondent, Ubong Usoro, to give us more in-depth on the report. Hello, Ubong, how are you?
Thank you so much, Ma'am Kike. Always a pleasure to come on your program.
You're welcome. All right, a quick one. Should the president and Tinubu seek a second time based on his current performance, or should Nigeria demand more results before 2027?
Yeah, I think that basically is an issue of fundamental human rights. Everybody who is Nigerian by the constitution of the country has a right to seek for offices, especially when you are eligible. And President Tinubu, at least what we know, is but the party is saying the president should reconsider running. They've talked about something. They've talked about the president appeal to. So it's more or less a moral appeal, just saying, look at it, the betterment of the country, decide not to run, right? But it's not something, and you know it's a two-way thing. There are also many persons who are believing that president should run, whether he even wants to or not. So he has to consider all of this at the end of the day.
So what should be the key performance indicators Nigeria should use to judge whether President Tinubu's administration deserves another time?
Off the top of my head, I'll just mention 5 things. 1, security. A lot of Nigerians will judge him on security. Economy. Nigerians will judge him on economy. Nigerians will judge him on unemployment rate. Education. Nigerians will judge him on that, and housing. You know, these are very fundamental things that any administration will be judged on.
Okay, with several political parties, it can handle Nigeria better before considering seeking another term. The national chairman of the party, Samuel Meme, made the call while addressing members of the party in Abuja. Ubong Usoro has the details.
The Democratic Leadership Alliance is positioning itself ahead of the 2027 general elections as political parties and aspirants continue to mobilize support across the country. The national chairman of the party, Samuel Meme, said President Bola Tinubu should reconsider running for office in 2027, insisting that the president must first prove that he can handle Nigeria better.
To serve the people should not be asked to continue suffering indefinitely without seeing results. I therefore call on the president, Mr. President, Nigeria must come first, the security of our people must come first, the welfare of Nigerians must come first.
Also speaking, the presidential candidate of the Democratic Leadership Alliance, Ambassador Moses Adebisi, called on Nigerian youth to join the party and participate actively in the political process.
Do not understand the basic economic system, do not have business running our country. That is the assignment that God has given to us in this generation. And thank God for the classes of people we have in this, our ecosystem right here, and we are welcoming more people into it. Those that have the ability of real transformations, those that have the knowledge to build something. If the goal is won, the battle must be won.
The party says it will continue to mobilize Nigerians, particularly young people, as it prepares for the 2027 general elections. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
And joining us now is our political correspondent, Ubong Usoro, to give us more in-depth on the report. Hello, Ubong, how are you?
Thank you so much, Ma'am Kike. Always a pleasure to come on your program.
You're welcome. All right, a quick one. Should the president and Tinubu seek a second time based on his current performance, or should Nigeria demand more results before 2027?
Yeah, I think that basically is an issue of fundamental unity. Everybody who is Nigerian by the constitution of the country has a right to seek for offices, especially when you are eligible. And President Tinubu, at least what we know, is. But the party is saying the president should reconsider running. They've talked about something. They've talked about appeal too. So it's more or less a moral appeal, just saying, look at it, the betterment of the country, decide not to run, right? But it's not something, and you know it's a two-way thing. There are also many persons who are believing that president should run, whether he even wants to or not. So he has to consider all of this at the end of the day.
So what should be the key performance indicators Nigeria should use to judge whether President Tinubu's administration deserves another time?
Off the top of my head, I'll just mention 5 things. 1, security. Lots of Nigerians will judge him on security. Economy. Nigerians will judge him on economy. Nigerians will judge him on unemployment rate. Education. Nigerians will judge him on that, and housing. You know, these are very fundamental things that any administration will be judged on.
Okay, with several political parties already positioning themselves for 2027, can political parties like DLA realistically provide a credible alternative for the ruling party, which is APC?
Absolutely, they can, but the problem is that, you know, the Nigerian political culture, for political parties that are not so entrenched, you know, it's very difficult for them to win election, because elections in Nigeria are very costly, right? And I don't, for me personally, I do not think the DLA has that ability to match the APC, money for money, structure for structure, mobilization for mobilization. So when you look at all of these other factors, in all fairness, and I'm not looking at the party, a party I love so much, I do not think they have that to match the presidency, but they can do well in other offices, right? Senate, you know, House of Representatives, where they have members that are rooted in the grassroots. But for the presidency, I think it's maybe a tall dream for the party. Okay,
from your own perspective right now, beyond the call for political participation, what practical role should Nigerian youth play in shaping the 2027 election and determined by the country's next leadership?
Yeah, one of it, I think that Nigerian youth should be able to itemize the issues that this leader should speak to. And one of the issues already been itemized, because subsidy now, everybody's talking about subsidy. And I think as we get close to the election, anybody that's seeking for office of the president will be able to tell us, this is what I think about subsidy. Atiku says, I'll bring back subsidy. Tinubu says, no, I'll remove forever. So these are the issues Nigerian youth should stay on. So issue-based campaign, let's know the issues and not personality attacks.
All right, thank you so much, Ubong, for your time, but I will still have to take you again. A political debate at the Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference in Port Harcourt has turned into a sharp exchange over accountability, experience, and the record of Nigerian political leaders. Former Transportation Minister Rotimi Amaechi and African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore traded opposing views over who should be trusted with Nigeria's leadership ahead of the 2027 election. Again, our political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
One more thing. Let me say one more thing. Stop lying.
The question of political credibility took center stage as politicians and stakeholders gathered at the NBA Annual General Conference in Port Harcourt. Former Transportation Minister and ADC Vice Presidential candidate Rotimi Amaechi challenged Nigerians to look beyond ethnicity, region, and political affiliation when choosing their leaders. He argued that politicians seeking public office should be judged by what they achieve while in government and held accountable for their records. But the position drew a strong response from African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore. Sowore questioned the records of politicians who have previously occupied positions of authority and are now seeking another opportunity to lead the country.
Who has been consistent about non-removal of fuel subsidy? It has been me. And it took Amechi and his principal almost 10 years to catch up with me. They have now reversed their position on fuel subsidy. The question about subsidy is, who are you subsidizing? You are subsidizing the elite. You are subsidizing the governors. The only people who are doing well since they removed subsidy are the governors of states.
The exchange brought into sharp focus one of the key issues likely to shape the 2027 election, whether Nigerians will prioritize political experience, past performance, and accountability over party, ethnicity, and regional interest. At the heart of the debate is a question that continues to dominate Nigeria's political conversation. What should qualify a politician to ask Nigerians for their votes? Ubong Utoro, Global TV News.
And still with us is our political correspondent, Ubong Usoro. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, talking about Sowore and the former Minister of Transport, should Nigerians judge politicians strictly by their past performance in public office, or should political experience still count despite a mixed record?
Yeah, a very important question, but I think it's two ways. One, what Rotimi Amechi said, in a way, I wasn't totally in support of it, because when he said Sowore doesn't have experience in politics, when politicians are talking, he should not talk, right? In that regard, I may disagree, because Sowore is somebody that has run his private business, Sahara Reporters, for years now. He now got a license from NBC. They've started Sahara TV, so he's been successful what is done. So in a way, you cannot say he doesn't have experience of leading people, because more of running your business is almost like running the country. Donald Trump was never in a business, but he's running America. Yes, but in that regard, fine. But also Sowore now, speaking, always condemning all the past leaders, right, is not very good, because somebody like Rotimi Amechi was like a star governor when he was a governor, right? So we could commend the ones he's done right and also oppose where we think he's not done right.
Okay, how much should ethnicity, religion, region, and party loyalty influence voters' choice in 2027 election?
Oh, what a difficult question to ask, but Nigeria's election has always been, informed by these things. People are going to look, where is Atiku Abubakar from? Oh, he's from the north. There are many Northerners that will vote him because he's from the north. In fact, there are persons even from the southwest who are Muslims that will vote him because he's a Muslim. So in Nigeria, all of these things play a role because we are developing democracy. So, but I think that over now we are seeing more consciousness, because for inside 2023, a lot of persons across board supported Peter Obi. So it will take time, but we still have that ethnic divide, right? A lot of times, and it will still take time before we can outgrow it.
All right, before I let you go, just last one. What should be the standard for political accountability in Nigerian achievement towards integrity, competence, and all of these three in the 2027 election?
One should be your records, or should be how you were able to use public funds, should be how you were able to curtail excesses. You see, politicians take 7 cars, for convoy. For me, it does not make sense. So if we are light, we should be able to look no into waste our taxpayers' money. So these are some of the things I think will.
Thank you so much, Ubong Usoro, for your time. Moving on, the federal government has reiterated its commitment to reviewing Nigerian micro, small, and medium enterprise policies to move businesses beyond survival and position them for sustainable growth, stronger competitiveness, and global relevance. The Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, Chris Osas Usokwu, represented by the Director of Industrial Development Department, Olomuyiwa Ajayi, reiterated the commitment at the National Stakeholders Validation Workshop on the review of national policy on MSMEs in Abuja. Ramsey Enoch Abu has the details.
The federal government says the review of Nigeria's national policy on micro, small, and medium enterprises is critical to keeping pace with changing economic realities. emerging technologies and evolving business models. Representing the Permanent Secretary, the Director of Industrial Development, Olamuyiwa Ajayi, says the revised policy must be forward-looking and responsive to the challenges confronting businesses. She identified productivity, innovation, competitiveness, access to finance, market opportunities, and inclusive economic growth as key areas requiring stronger policy attention.
The decision to review the national policy on MSMEs is timely. The changing economic environment, emerging technologies, evolving business models, and the increasing need to strengthen productive capacity requires a policy framework that is both forward-looking and responsive to the realities faced by enterprises across the country.
The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, says the revised policy is also aimed at taking MSMEs beyond survival and placing them on a path of scalable and sustainable growth. Representing the Director General of SMEDEN, Charles Odi, the Acting Director of Policy Planning, Research and Statistics, Philip Udeochu, says the framework will provide a unified national approach to MSME development. He says priority will be given to productivity, competitiveness, digital transformation, a data-driven system, and cluster-based enterprise development.
This new policy is not designed merely to help Nigerian SMEs survive. It's designed to help them thrive, scale, and win. This is the shift. That is the ambition. It is the future we are writing together in this room, collectively.
With millions of Nigerians depending on MSMEs for livelihood and employment, a stakeholder says effective implementation of the revised policy could be critical to unlocking the sector's potential and accelerating Nigeria's sustainable economic growth. Ramsey Enoch Agbo, Global TV News.
And joining me in the studio is our correspondent, Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Hello, Ramsey.
Yeah, hi, Kike. Hello, Mawukere.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be with you on
The Reporter.
The Reporter. This is the first time we're having it together, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's talk about the MSMEs, the policies. Will the review of the national MSMEs policy address the real challenges businesses face, particularly accessing finance, high operating costs, and limited market opportunities?
You know, this is long overdue, as a matter of fact, and I'm so excited that this idea is even coming up in the first place, because there are so many things you need to look at. A lot of people don't know MSMEs are more like a life wire, because that is where you start from, and that is
like
where,
the bedrock
bedrock of the economy.
That's true.
Because that's where, if you want to fight poverty, that's where you start from. The growth of every nation starts from there, because everyone cannot be a very big business mogul at the same time. So I feel if it is being visited, as a matter of fact, it's going to change a whole lot of things. And I think this is coming up as a recommendation that has been done. Some persons have sat somewhere, meetings have been held, and there's been an agreement that this and this needs to change to give these people an enabling environment to thrive.
Okay, what concrete measures do you think is needed to move Nigerians' MSMEs from survival businesses to competitive, scalable enterprise that can create more jobs?
Number one, enabling environment. Majority of the problems that we have is funding. You know, funding. A lot of people have started, and for them to scale, they need the funding, and policies also need to align with what these people are doing. Like you talk about what is the Bank of Industry doing, what is their contribution, what is the federal government doing. Because every businessman that goes into business, the number one target and vision is to scale. No one wants to start a business and remain at the same level all the time. So the government needs, number one, to provide an enabling environment. If you like, you can just take off a tax out of it completely, and that has to do with policies of government.
Okay, talking about the policies, do you think the digital transformation, access to finance and stronger market linkage could make Nigeria's MSMEs globally competitive? And what must the government and the private sector do differently to ensure that these policies actually work?
Yeah, number one thing, the problem we have in Nigeria is supervision. When you're giving somebody an assignment, you need to supervise to know how it's growing. If you want to talk about global competitiveness, it's going to be a longer time. Take for instance, that small business is making use of fuel, to power their generating plants because the power is not stable. These are issues. So if you talk about global competitiveness, there are things you need to make available. Number one, internet. I always talk about funding, which is very, very important. Then you talk about tech. There is a way tech can also come into play to make all of this smooth. And what the government needs to do is to give more attention to the MSMEs, because that is where we have a lot of Nigerians.
Apparently, Ramsey, you're supposed to be one of the committee members. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for your time. All right, moving on. The federal government says African digital transformation will remain incomplete unless countries can trust, recognize, and securely validate digital credentials across their borders. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi, who was represented by Professor Mukhtar Abdulkadir, stated this in Abuja at the second annual general meeting of the Africa Public Key Infrastructure Consortium. Sadia Yakubu has the details.
The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, who was represented by Professor Mukhtar Abdulkadir, says stronger digital trust and interoperability are critical to driving seamless trade, secure migration, and efficient public services across the continent. He noted that for Africa to fully unlock the benefits of the digital economy, the countries must move beyond isolated national systems and build a trusted digital ecosystem that works across borders.
A trusted document should not lose its usefulness simply because it crosses an African border. Yet today, a signature valid in one country may still be difficult to verify or legally recognize.
The minister also points to the continent's huge digital opportunity, noting that only a fraction of Africans' population was online in 2025, with significant disparities in access and connectivity. He says digital systems must therefore be designed to serve not only government and large businesses, but also small enterprises, rural communities, persons with disabilities, and people with limited digital literacy.
The systems we build must anticipate new risks. Artificial intelligence can improve fraud detection, but it can also amplify identity fraud, deepfakes, and automated attacks. Accountable use, human oversight, and auditable controls must therefore be built in.
The Director General National Identity Management Commission, Abisoye Kuka Odusote, says the African Public Infrastructure Consortium is working to build strong digital trust across the continent, with member states and partners including the World Bank and the Asia PKI Consortium coming together to strengthen Africa's digital ecosystem. The ultimate goal is to drive digital trade by connecting people, goods, and services seamlessness across borders, creating an Africa where digital transactions are also interoperable, that citizens and businesses barely feel the presence of national borders.
What we're trying to achieve is to ensure that we're able to make sure that there's build digital trust across Africa, and also ensure that this will be the bane and backbone of driving digital trade, to ensuring that we're connecting people with goods and services as seamlessly as possible, enabling cross-border interoperability across Africa.
Stakeholders say the vision is for national digital systems to work together seamlessly while respecting national laws, sovereignty and data protection requirements.
Exactly is trying to have the collaboration between various economies. We have almost 20 countries in the consortium, building in various elements of digital trust, including the mutual recognition and various new technologies constituting of the digital trust.
The stakeholders say achieving a truly connected digital Africa will require stronger collaboration, harmonized standards, and sustained investment in securing digital infrastructure. Sadia Yakubu, Global TV News.
All right, this is what we call it a wrap on the program, The Reporter. Thank you for watching. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and 276 on StarTime and as well on Free TV. To stay connected, kindly follow us on all our social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG. Till I come your way again, I am Kike Lomo Okere. I celebrate you all.
Water is life, water is an essential service, and we must have to carry out the residents.
Local communities are not only vital to the growth of society, but they also form the bedrock of humanitarian development.